Good morning, friends. Welcome to Morning Motivation with Dr. K, where my number one goal is to give you a positive perspective. I have been listening to the Life Coach School with Brooke Castillo, and this past Sunday during my master's class for life coaching, my teacher told me that I told her that I was having a really hard time with a certain concept, and she said, go back and listen to the podcast about passing through neutral and pure circumstance, which might be a whole different level of a concept for morning motivation. But good morning, Darren. Good morning, Craig. So essentially what I learned, hey, Lacey, hey, Wendy, is that there is power in our words, that there is power in the way we choose to describe circumstances that happen to us. So the circumstance last Tuesday with pay cuts, it's actually a neutral circumstance. The circumstance is I tuned into a Zoom meeting or WebEx meeting where facts were presented to me. That's the circumstance, okay? It's my thought about that circumstance that colors how I feel about it and my life as well. So if I look at that circumstance and say, even the word pay cuts, it's such a heavy word, and they didn't use the word pay cut. They said, a 20% deduction or something very, matter of fact, right? Good morning, George. Good morning, Colleen. Good morning, Eddie. So I've been thinking about that and thinking about the power that we have in the way that we interpret life's circumstances. And in the last few days, I've been challenging myself to see those circumstances as something that is for me, right? And so I'm like, okay, so if I take away the language and take away the fear and the change and all that, what does this look like? And I had the ability to rearrange my schedule a little bit here at work to open up some time and to be able to do more aesthetics. And I was thinking about that on the way to work this morning, and I was like, wow, talk about lemonade from lemons. I might have the possibility to, when this is all said and done, potentially make even more money. I mean, not initially, but I think that there's just so much power in the way we talk to ourselves and our internal dialogue, in the way we choose to view things. If we continue to talk to our friends and repeat a story in a negative light, it's going to grow and grow to something horrendous, some big monster in your life. But what if you took that same horrendous story and tried to shine a positive light on it? Even if it's something really crazy or hard. I had a patient yesterday that was, hey, Shanna, that was saying something about how she was so fixated on she lost somebody. And she was like, I'm just having a really hard time dealing with this. And I said something that I've tried to do with the death of my father a few years ago was to, every time I think about my dad, not think about how he died, think about all the fun times we had during his life. And that's just another example of how we choose to color the experiences that we have has a very profound impact on what we are capable of from that point forward and how we feel on a day-to-day basis. So, it's almost like, do you choose to be the victim or do you choose to be the victor, right? So I want you guys to think about a circumstance in your life where maybe you feel sorry for yourself, or maybe it's really challenging or daunting, and see if there's any way that you can take the sentence in your head, this is really hard, or this shouldn't have happened to me, and see, just go there with me. See if there's a possibility that you can change that sentence into, this is exactly what needed to happen to make my life better. Might be a little bit of a stretch at first, right? Good morning, Diana. But I'm telling you, there is a profound power in the way we choose to interpret things, especially with our words. So when something happens to you, if you go to your friends and family and you say this terrible thing just happened, and you're dramatic like I am, and you're this, this is terrible, then it keeps growing, because the more you tell the story, the worse it gets, right? Oh my gosh, my flyaways. It's so fun. Anyway. Goodness. Okay, so who cares about that? But just the more you tell a story, the more power it gets, right? So what if you told the story through a positive lens? So I'll take my example, right? So I started off my story last Thursday with I'm officially making about half of what I made a year ago in El Reno. And that sounds really bad, right? And then I also told the story through the lens of I'm going to have to get a second and a third job. That also sounds really bad. So let me take that same story and let me change the way that I'm saying it to you and to myself. There was a very big shift at work that allowed me to look at my schedule and my time. And it allowed me to be able to have conversations with my boss about shifting the way that I showed up on a daily basis. It allowed me to create a whole bunch of time for this thing that I've been wanting to do for a long time. It allowed me time and space and energy to focus on my side gigs, on my aesthetics and my life coaching. And the future Kristen is very likely going to look back and say that was the exact catalyst that you needed to catapult your life forward. That was exactly what had to happen for you to be massively successful, for you to level up on 17,000 different levels, right? Can you feel the power difference in that statement? From one of, woe is me, this sucks, to this is my power. This is a step in the direction that I've always wanted to go. So I want to ask you guys, what stories do you need to change? Maybe it's something that happened a long time ago. Maybe there is some story that you've been repeating to yourself that happened 5, 10, 15 years ago. And the story that you keep telling, every time you tell it, it's like you're reliving it. And you're giving it power all over again. And not a good power. A power that knocks you down. A power that makes you feel less than. A power that makes you feel like a victim. And I would challenge you to find those things that have a high amount of power in your life that were detrimental to you and rewrite the story. See if you can change your thought about that circumstance that happened to you and see how much power you can get from doing that. It's almost like some magic. Like I know, like it's almost crazy. Like your brain doesn't know the difference. When you go back and rewrite a thought, it can't tell the difference in time. Like it can't say like, well, this is already cemented in your head. You can't change it. You actually can. You can change your thoughts about something that happened to you a really long time ago. It's literally like magic. So if you have something going on in your life right now, and every time you tell the story to yourself, to your friends, to your family, it's just like, ugh, listen to this horrible thing that happened to me. I would challenge you to be strong enough to allow yourself to completely change the story and see what it can do for you. Because if we believe that God is for us, that the universe is always conspiring for us, that God has always been looking out for us, that everything is for us, then how could you possibly believe that this terrible thing happened just to hurt you? How could you believe that? That doesn't line up. That's not on the same page. So if you believe that God and the universe conspire for you, that everything is always working together for your good, which I do believe, then rewrite that story. Look at that circumstance and say, how is that for me? Because then once you start doing that, you become more solution-oriented and less problem-oriented. Instead of finding a pile of bricks that has landed on you, you take those bricks and build your dream building, right? So look at how you're coloring your life. Think about the power in your words. Think about how you're describing circumstances to your friends, to your families, to your coworkers, because every time you say it, it has power. So would you rather use that power to continue to build this terrible story that keeps bringing you down? Or would you like to use that power to build yourself and others up? That same story, that same circumstance, can you take it and build it into something beautiful? Like, I just think it's so amazing. Like, I've been feeling really like, recently about all this stuff. And then I've taken it and I've ran with it the last few days, and I've been dreaming and creating. And the energy that I felt this morning was like of hope and of possibilities. And I was like, yes. And then I was like, what happened differently? Like, the circumstance didn't change. Oh, it was my thoughts about the circumstance that changed. It's how I'm telling the story to myself and other people that's changed. And I was like, wow, that's so powerful. I'm going to share that with you guys. Darren says, so much has changed in the last 12 months. It's been enlightening, inspiring, and devastating at the same breath. I'm choosing to be inspired and to hopefully use my experiences to enlighten others. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Stephanie. Hey, Daisy. Hey, Terry. Hey, Suzanne. Hey, Ben. Diana, wow. It's extremely exciting to see how you are moving forward with an attitude of victory. Oh, thank you, Diana. But honestly, it's the same circumstance, but just I'm choosing to align myself with what I already believe. I do believe that God loves us and that he wants good things for us. And in that In that world, in that thought process, there's no place for believing that things are trying to destroy me and that things are not going in my favor, because I believe that everything is working for me. Everything. So if that's true, then how was my meeting last Thursday working for me? It allowed me the ability to make some changes to completely level up my life in ways that I don't know that I would have seen if that hadn't happened. So I would encourage you guys, you get to write your story. You get to choose how you view everything in your life. And there is power. There is power to either hold you down or build you up. And you get to choose. So what story do you need to rewrite for yourself? All right, friends. I love you guys. I hope you have a fabulous Wednesday. Hey, Connie. Hey, Shabbat. So Mandy and I, it's Wednesday, so we are going to be doing some aesthetics this afternoon, some Botox and filler. If anybody needs any Botox or filler, I'm your girl. All right, friends. I hope you guys have a fabulous day, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.